Right, question number 24, after a few of these pretty tough questions, doesn't look much easier. But here we go. Each week Dan drives two routes, route X and route Y. One week he drives route X 3 times and route Y twice. He drives a total of 134 miles that week. In another week he drives route X twice and route Y 5 times. He drives a total of 203 miles in that week. We need to find the length of each route. Now this is a simultaneous equations question, and you have to be able to form that simultaneous equation yourself. Basically, we've got 3 times the x, so we're going to write down 3x for equation number 1. I'm going to label it number 1. And root y twice, so plus 2 times by y, and that equals 134 miles. And then the second statement says in a different week, so we're going to write equation 2. He's used root x again, he's used it twice this time. And then we've got plus 5y, and that equals 203. Now, these aren't even the nicest simultaneous equations. They're nice in the fact that you've got both the symbols, the same being the same in front of both the x term and the y term, because remember that these are both positive. Okay, so I'll write those in just for your sake here. What we need to do is make equation 3 and equation 4 by multiplying through the whole equations to make the coefficient of the y term or the x terms the same. So because we've got positive symbols in front of both, not as complicated as it could be, I'm going to multiply the first equation by 2, multiply this whole thing by 2, and multiply this second equation by 3. That would make the x terms the same. So if I do that, you'll see what I get. So 3x times by 2 is going to be 6x, and 2y multiplied by 2 is going to give me 4y, and then that equals 134 times 2, so let's not make any mistakes, is 268, and then 2x multiplied by 3 gives us 6x, and that's what we want because we want to eliminate the x term here. 3 times 5 is 15y, and then 203 times 3, 609, but 203 times 3 is 609, and you write that down. There we go, we've got equation 3 and equation 4. Now, because the coefficient of the x term is the same and they are both positive, if these symbols are the same, then you would take away one equation from the other. Now, you could take away, you could do 4y minus 15y, but then we get a minus amount of y's. So I'm going to write down that I'm doing equation 4 minus equation 3. I'm just going to do it the other way around, okay? And that's going to mean that I do 15y, take away 4y, and that gives me the positive amount of y's. So if I do that, I get 11y, and then I'm going to do 609 minus the 268. So minus the 268 from the 609 gives me 341. If I write that down, 341. There we go, and then all I have to do is divide both sides of this small equation that I've got here by 11. So divide both sides by 11, and I'm going to find that y equals, and let's do that on the calculator, 31. Nice whole number. So I found that y, remembering that y is one of the routes that he goes, that's 31 miles, given the context of the question. Okay, let's not put that in the answer space just yet because we need to use y to find x. So we're going to use the 31, so I'm going to substitute in now. And my writing is awful because it's on the computer. Substitute, we got into equation 1. Let's put it into equation 1. You could put it into any of the 4 equations that we've written, but let's put it into equation 1. So 3 multiplied by x, I'm going to put the multiplication symbol in, plus 2 times by 31, so 2 multiplied by 31 is equal to 134. Now let's work out what 2 times 31 is, which is 62, and that equals 134. 3x plus the 62 equals 134. Take away the 62 from both sides, just a two-step equation now, once you've substituted it in. So take away 62 from both sides, so 134 minus the 62, let's not faff around, we've got 72, so 3x equals 72. And if you divide, oh, that's a really bad 7, but 72x, divide both sides by 3, you're going to find that x equals 24. Remember, that's in miles. Now, if you found both things, you can check both things in any one of the other equations. So let's check it in equation number 2, just to make sure that they both work. And that would be 2 times x, so 2 times 24 is 48, plus 5 times by 31, so 5 times by 31 is 155, and that equals, we bring that back up, plus the 48, 203, which is what we wanted it to equal. So we definitely got the right answer. That's our checking. We don't have to write that down. That can just be done on the calculator, but it's nice to have it there to make sure that we've definitely got the right answer. We've definitely got 5 marks for this question. So 31 miles for y, make sure you write them in the right place, and 24 miles for root x. Part B to this question asks us to state an assumption that's been made in answering part A. It could be a variety of different reasons again. So one assumption could be that we're assuming there were no diversions. So no diversions on either route. On one of the weeks, because obviously if there was a diversion, it would have changed the distance. So yeah, that's as simple as it can be. That's an extra just 1 mark there. But the bulk of the marks was to be able to form and solve the simultaneous equation. Looks tricky, but actually break it down step by step can be pretty simple.